Today we're going to be checking out the new released Diamond Select Marvel Gallery. This is X-23 as Wolverine PVC diorama. Laura Kinney was born X-23, the 23rd attempt by the facility to clone the X-Men Wolverine. The first female attempt, she had her mutant healing factor forcibly activated at an early age, and her natural claws were extracted and coated with adamantium. Trained to be an assassin, she was hired out for missions until her birth mother helped her escape. After a time working various jobs, she found her way to Xavier's school, where she became a member of the X-Men and X-Force. In the wake of Wolverine's death, she has taken the name and costume in tribute. This diorama of X-23 as Wolverine is based on her appearance in Marvel Comics. It is made of high-quality PVC and features collectible quality paint applications. It was also sculpted by Sam Greenwell. Before we have a look at the statue, let's figure out how tall she stands. We'll put the tape measure right to the top of her head. There we go. The statue here of X-23 as Wolverine stands at exactly 10 inches in height. If you want to switch that over to centimeters, then the statue stands at 25.5 centimeters in height. Why don't we first have a look at her display base, and then we'll work our way up. While the statue is very firmly planted against the base, you cannot remove it. However, you do get a rather nice see-through, if I wanted to show you as well, a see-through display base featuring some nice bright translucent red. I suppose in theory you could run a light source from underneath here and project the light upward, giving her a slightly red tint as a result of it. One small little thing that I do like is that they've actually clawed in scratchings there on the top of the display base. Just a little extra nod to the fact that she's only sporting 2 claws rather than Wolverine's conventional 3. The display base primarily is a black oval-shaped base with a rather nice airbrushed gold metallic around the outer area of the red. Again, it really helps to draw your attention to it. To be fair though, there's a lot of competing things on this statue that are going to draw your attention to, to whole different places. Maybe you may not focus as much effort on looking at the display base, because again, there's really a whole lot happening here on this statue. I may say this is one of the finest painted figures that I've seen statue-wise from folks over at Diamond Select. It's a stunning piece. I think why I like it so much is instead of just giving us blue, giving us yellow, they gave us upped color versions of that. So we have metallic blue instead of the conventional blue. And then even like the yellow, it looks like they've got a lighter shade of yellow, and then they've airbrushed areas in dark yellow. This contrast of metallic blue to yellow works exceptionally well here on this statue. The metallic blue, I think, is the all-star hit, and the reasoning why this statue, I think, is such a win. If we look at her face, this is, of course, X-23 sporting more a classic Wolverine outfit, and I think she wears it rather well, both in the comics here and in the statue. One thing also I like is that they've got the eyes just a solid white. Perhaps there may be a little bit of airbrushing in there, just a slightly darker bit of the white, but it looks like it's all white more so. Again, you've got that nice metallic blue. Oh, I love this blue that they've added on this figure. I used to actually have a blue this color back in the day when I used to make models when I was younger, really, really young. So the paint work was generally quite poor, but this definitely looks like that metallic blue that I had when I was younger. The lips are very nicely painted, almost something of like a plum color, if I could describe the paint by fruit. It's about the color of a plum. Some slightly darker areas there as well around the areas of her face. So like right underneath her chin, it looks like they've put a slightly darker shade of flesh tone in there. And then, like I said, all that airbrushing around the yellow, even like the head doesn't get omitted from that. You can see slightly lighter yellow here, slightly darker yellow on the sides. Flip the statue around, being very careful. Nice flowing hair that she's got running out from interior, the inside there of her cowl, and it comes out quite nicely. I'm glad that they didn't add paint here. I don't feel like this is an area that needed a whole lot of extra paint. Keeping it black, keeping it nothing more than black, I think is the best route to go. I'm glad they did do that. Most, if not all, the statue is the yellow and the blue. The only area in which it breaks up, of course, other than the face and the hair, is the belt. Belt has a slightly different gold, different yellow than the rest of the body, and it's actually gets afforded metallic gold. In fact, actually, it looks like it's the same gold that makes up the outlined area of the X, is, ironically enough, outlining the X on her buckle. Nice dark brown there as well. Let's talk a little bit about these claws. I love the fact that they've sculpted, of course, the claws. You couldn't have X-23 as Wolverine without having full claws extended out. This comes, unfortunately, at a price, and the price being that the claws are very thin plastic. You can probably even, if you listen, you can probably hear me dragging my finger very, very carefully across those claws. You can see that they are a little on the more brittle side, so just be a little mindful of that. Not that you're going to be getting very aggressive when it comes to statues, but this one more than others, just because those claws are just so thin, you really wouldn't want those to potentially break for you. Other than that, I love this statue. Its biggest draw for me, I think, primarily is the paint. This is a nice, beautiful sculpt, don't get me wrong, but I think really paint is where it excels. The airbrushing around the yellow, you get areas here in which you've got the lighter yellow around where, of course, light will be hitting it the most. In the lower mid section of her torso, she gets a little bit of that more darker yellow. But the blue, that metallic blue, is awesome. Of course, like with other characters in comic books, nobody stays dead forever, but we can enjoy this little section of time in which X-23 donned the costume as Wolverine. And quite a nice feat here from Diamond Select, translating that from the pages of the comics here to PVC plastic. I really like this statue. I know I'm a hard man to read from time to time, but I really like the statue quite a bit. I think even if you had kept this statue just as one solid gray color, primarily like the prototype mold, if you kept it that color, I think I would still like the statue. But I gotta admit, I'm loving that color scheme. The paint works exceptionally well. There's not a lot of cases where I've seen airbrushing work this well in statue form, and that metallic blue works exceptionally well also with the yellow. I don't feel like there's any real quality issues, like paint that is. Yellow is always the trickiest paint, it seems, to put on a figure, and oftentimes it looks like it bleeds, or colors around it seem to bleed into the yellow. Here, quite the opposite. I don't feel like there's any real paint faux pas that's something you should be worrying about, but again, that's only on this release that I have in hand, the one that we had a look at over the course of this review. You may want to just double check if you get this one for yourself, that your yellow doesn't have, of course, any bleeding, any sort of problems whatsoever. But really liking the airbrushing of the darker yellow to the lighter yellow. It really helps to accent areas in which natural light would be hitting the parts of her body. And of course, that metallic blue is just the icing on the cake. Really would like to see them use metallic colors more often than they should. I know a lot of times they go to basic colors, but just this is a good prime example of using metallics can be your best friend, and metallic blue looks really good here on X-23 as Wolverine. If you guys are interested in picking this one up for yourself, she should be now available at local comic book stores. Today we were having a look at the Diamond Select Toys. This was the Marvel Gallery X-23 as Wolverine. Love it. I hope you love this channel. If you haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, it's about the left side of the screen. Make sure you hit that. More videos, guys, obviously will be coming your way. And hey now, while other people are promoting the bell notification, and I can say that as well, make sure you hit the bell notification so they'll guarantee that when new things are being posted on this channel, you'll never miss out. Apparently it still doesn't work though. So if you guys want to swing by after all the videos that you watch of mine, swing by to the homepage, check the videos section. That's where I keep all my videos in beautiful, somewhat beautiful thumbnails. You guys can see all the videos that I've posted recently as well as in the previous months or so. So if there's a video that you may have missed along the way, always welcoming new comments to those videos. It lets me know as well that it's not just the newer stuff that I'm posting. You guys are also checking out the older stuff as well, and that always is greatly appreciated. As always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.